Hello, my name is Beth Davidson and I'm going to be your first fencing coach. Fencing is a very fast and dynamic sport. There's a lot of strength, flexibility and power. So before you start any sort of exercise, any sort of movement, make sure you've got plenty of space around you, and also your body needs to get warmed up. So we're going to go through a few preparation exercises to help your ankles, knees, hips, get used to the skills that we're going to be showing you today. The first warm-up exercise we're going to do is to develop our balance and warm up our calves and ankles. So bring your feet together. And then what we're going to do is hands on hips and then go onto our tippy toes as high as we can, and then slowly go down and lift our toes up. Then we go into a slow rocking motion. If you're right-handed, step forward with your right leg, and obviously if you're left-handed, you'd step forward with your left leg. Bend our knees, and then we're going to be doing things called squats. So we stand up straight and then slowly go down and end up in a squat. This position now is very particular to fencing. It's usually the first position you learn when you go to a fencing club. It's the position where all fencers adapt at the start of the match and after every point scored. And it's called the on guard position. This first session is about movement. You're going to need a sock and you're going to need some sort of broom or a stick. In our movement class today, the most important part is footwork. Footwork allows us to try to attack, but it also allows us to defend. Our piece area is 14 metres long and only 2 metres wide. So what we're trying to do is achieve and score points within that area. So our fencing position of on guard, which we learned last time. So start off with getting into that position, and to move forward, our leg, which is on pointing forward, goes first, and then it's followed by the rear leg. To go backwards, it's just the opposite. So our rear leg goes first, followed by our front leg. Now add more steps to your footwork, depending on the size you have in your room. So if you're going forward, going backwards. For our next footwork skill, we're going to be using a sock, but we're going to place it on the floor, just in front of you. One of the problems that we have when we start to learn footwork is it's quite an unusual movement. We normally be using our feet like this as we would walk into town. So using our feet in this sort of movement can be quite challenging at first. Some of the difficulties and some of the mistakes that could happen is that you sort of drag your back foot, and this makes you much more slower, and it makes a lot of the other movements that we have to do in fencing much harder. So this is a bit of a skill that to encourage you to pick your back foot up when we're going forwards and backwards. So get the sock between your feet. Okay, and then we're going to get into our on guard position and then step forward and step backwards. At first you can look down just to see where that sock is, just to help you a little bit. But with any exercise, in the future we're going to have an opponent in front of us. So we're going to have to make sure that we're in a position where we would be seeing our opponent. Now we're going to add an extra element. So each of our classes are going to be progressive, get slightly harder each time. If you think you can make it a little bit harder than what we've done in the class, just try it out. As long as you make it's safe and you're not going to knock anything over, it should be fine. This is where our sock comes in. Okay, so what I want you to do is roll up your sock so it's a sort of ball, and then what we're going to do is balance it on our hand. So make a little sort of cup in our hand like that and place the sock on top. Get into your on guard position, and then we're going to do the movement forward and backwards, but trying not to drop the sock. Our next skill is going to be where we're going to be using our arm as a type of an attack. So we start to move that first when we think we've got opportunity, and then what we normally do is we're going to finish with a lunge. So we're just going to get the timing of this feeling in our arm. So we get our sock again, we make it into a nice little ball, get into our on guard position, and this time we're just going to throw our sock up in the air, and what you're trying to do is to catch it in front of you about this height. Now we're going to progress this exercise, so we're moving into our lunge. So we're going to catch, once we catch it, we lunge. Now some people are not very good catchers, and that's not a problem. Catching isn't a main skill when we're fencing, but accuracy is really important, and trying to grip at the moment when your arm is extended is a very useful skill. If you want to, you could try to sort of punch it out the air. So we can get our sock and then punch it out the air. Now we're going to progress further. So if you got nice and confident with our catches and our catch lunges, or if you did the lunge and hit, now we're going to progress it to make it a little bit harder. So now we're going to work on our sort of timing of the catch. So we're going to throw it, clap our hands, and then catch. So as we get confident at each stage, let's push ourselves. Let's see how many claps we can get before we drop the sock. I think 3 is my maximum today. For our next exercise, you're going to need your broom. Any broom will do. Make sure it's nice and solid, but also make sure that if it falls, it's not going to break anything. So if this drops like this, it doesn't matter. It just goes on the floor. And this is what we're going to use to help develop our timing of our lunges. So the first stage is come in the on guard position and put the broom out in front of you so you've got a straight arm like this. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to push it forward just a little bit, and this encourages it to drop away from me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let go and then catch and lunge when it feels as if it's going to drop. So the challenge of this is to try and leave it as long as possible and judge when it's moving away. So the speed of your lunge is very important, and the timing and the distance of the lunge is very important. The next challenge is where we're going to step backwards and then step forwards. So we're having to move away and then forward to catch the stick. So reset after each one. Make sure it's out in front of you. Let it go. So now we're going to increase the difficulty and we're going to do a backward step and then a lunge to catch the stick. So we need to do this and this. The next skill we're going to work on is our defensive footwork. So when we have an opponent that's attacking us, we can use two ways of defending. We can use our blade to block, but one of the best ways is just moving out the way. So this is where our back footwork is really important. And the speed of it's really important because we need to be able to keep control, allow us to defend in many different ways. So it's not just about getting as far away as possible because we might miss an opportunity to score a point. This time we're going to use our stick. So we're going to lean it backwards so it's going to fall towards us. So make sure you've got plenty of space behind you for your at least 2 or 3 steps to escape. So the more you lean it, the quicker you have to get out of the way. Next exercise is going to be try to do the combination of our lunge attack or escape by moving backwards. So you want to get your broom so it's about upright, so it's a little bit unpredictable whether it's going to go forward and backwards. So now you have to make the right choice to either catch it in a lunge or move away to escape.